I've done a lot of different things, and one of the things that I've learned is the power of your network. You know, John and I met through Bigger Pockets, and then through Facebook, and then we had coffee at the Village. And you know, you never understand what you're trying to do when you start out. Anybody that's been on this real estate journey always starts out thinking it's one thing, and winds up knowing it's something totally different. And what I've figured out is that if you are a master networker, you're going to get everything that you need. You're going to find out what you want out of everything. How many of you are full-time in real estate? Okay, so about half the audience, full-time. How many of you own a property? Okay. How many of you are not full-time in real estate but have another business? Okay. So when you look at the cross-section that we have here, they say that the average person knows 150 people. Well, there's 50 people here tonight, so we've got a crowd that we can connect with for about 7,500 people, right? Because I know you know a little bit more than 150. I mean, you know. So, but, you know, just to give you an example, Jonathan in the back and I met in April, and he was adamant about telling me about this airport he had. I like airplanes. I listened. I'm doing a deal with a guy in Florida that I met through a conference that I had no business being at, and Jonathan's got something going under contract, right? We're talking about in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a place I haven't been in 30 years, but we were able to make that connection, and he was very persistent about getting me to get that connection for him, but that's the reality. So when you look at it, you look around you and you look at the people that are sitting around you, you want to know their life experiences. Everybody's got a great story like John's, you know? I mean, I know some of the people in here, and the journey that they've been on has put them through a lot of different knotholes. And out of every experience comes knowledge. One of my quotable quotes is, every dollar I made came from a mistake. Right, Corey? But we know that about the things that we do, and we learn from that. But in that learning process, we gain more contacts, we gain more connections. We gain the ability to be able to connect to other people. How many of you guys go to networking events like this one? This one's a real estate event. But we're here to network, we're here to connect, right? John wants to know who's got off-market stuff. But how many of you go to real estate events to find out about other people or to hand out your card and talk to other people? Jonathan does. It paid. But, you know, the reality is most people go to networking events to introduce themselves. And I told my son, he was 21 years old, and he wanted to follow me into the business, so he went and got his real estate license. And I won't tattle on him right here in front of everybody. That'll embarrass him. But he comes to me and he says, Dad, what do I do? And I said, well, you know, you go sell real estate, you know. So I knew a friend, and he had a listing, and so he got that listing, and he sold that listing, and things were going great, right? He sold the listing in a really short amount of time, and that was fantastic. And about a month later, nothing was happening, right? So I said, well, you know, what does your work attire look like? And he shows up in, you know, shorts and flip-flops, and I go, what? Because I'm a realtor. I said, you're a 21-year-old punk, you know? How are you going to be able to get the networking to happen? I said, what was your job? You know, in high school, as you finished high school, you worked at Men's Warehouse. Go get all your suits, right? Brought him out, dressed him up, sent him to networking events. I said, you may not be the smartest guy in the room, but you'll be the sharpest dressed guy in the room. And I said, I don't want you to talk about yourself at all. I said, you have a toolbox in your hands. And every single person is a business card that you can make a connection with, that you can go out and find work for them. You have that ability. And if you become the master networker, you become the hub of the wheel. You don't want to be a spoke. You don't want to be somebody that just gets called or is trying to get yourself out of this room. How many people think they need a realtor tonight? It's a rough crowd, right? But what if you're connecting with people who have need, right? You know, I know a lot of people that they spend their networking time building that connection so that they know who to refer to you. Because I know you do short-term rentals, but I don't know much else about you. So if I sat down and I really got to know you, we could find 4 or 5 things in common. And then the next time something pops up, I know who to refer, right? And when I call and I say, hey, Matt, I got a buddy. He's doing this, and he's got a problem. You're the guy. Matt now feels like he owes me something, right? He doesn't, but I promise I'm not collected. But the reality is when you do that, you build the goodwill into the network, right? And so one of the things that I've always learned is that when you're busy building goodwill, it'll come back, right? It'll be something that is important because you're going to build that network and you're going to be able to reach out and you're going to be able to call somebody. Even if I know Matt used to fly helicopters, but he's not right now, but he might know a guy, and I'm actually looking for a flight instructor for my flight school, right? I'm still going to call Matt. He might not know, but he's going to know somebody else. So he's going to reach out, and he's going to say, hey, I got a guy looking for what you're doing. And then you're building your network, and every time you do that, you create more contacts. When we, oh, you're still on? When we just got a new database and I downloaded all the contacts out of my phone. I had 6,242. The problem is I didn't recognize 6,100 of them, right? Because I wasn't staying in touch with my network. I wasn't working my network. I wasn't active in their life, right? I know the statistic is not really high, but does anybody know how many people use their realtor for a second time? It's really low, right? It's like less than 30%, I believe, right? Isaac here will fact check that for us and put it on the video for us. But the reality is most people don't because the realtor does not continue to reach out. I remember every year my mom used to go and get wreaths, the fresh wreaths made, and then she used to get a box of See's candy. She would deliver that to every tenant, every client, everybody she could hand it to every single year. Wasn't about stopping by and saying, hey, you ready to buy and sell a house? But my son sold a house to the grandson of her first client in town. That's the power of network, right? Because she kept that relationship alive, because she nurtured that relationship with something simple. If you only bought one house from her in 20 years, you're still going to get 20 wreaths, right? I wouldn't suggest eating all 20 boxes of chocolates. But the reality is when you do that, you're continuing to keep that network warm. And it's not hard. You know, how many of us saw each other in April and haven't talked since? Right? We haven't talked. You know, I haven't talked to you in 8 months, 9 months, right? These are people in my network that I'm just as guilty of everybody. But guess what? When Adam needed a lease, Adam called me. It's like, I know a guy. So I sent him over to Evan. I said, Evan, send him our blank lease, right? So now he's got a copy of a lease. I feel like a schmuck. I paid $1,500 for that thing, and he got it for free, right? But that's the reality. That's the power of your network. And if I don't have a lease, I definitely know a guy that does. And this was for a commercial property, not a residential rental, which Adam does very well at, Adam and Shelley both. But when you look at the power of what you can reach, you know, this is better than 7 degrees of separation, or was it 7 steps to Kevin Bacon or something like that, right? I know you girls are like, oh, I like that one better. But the reality is there's not too many people you can't get to with your network. How many know a billionaire? Okay? So if I need to know another billionaire, I have 3 people in this room that know one. How many of you guys would have guessed that walking in? Right? So the reality is if you're not asking people what they need, you're not getting the ability to solve their problem, they're not going to take the opportunity to solve yours. Why would they? Why would you expect them to? Right? But if you're on the offense, if you're filling that toolbox with other people's cards and really getting to know them and really getting to understand what their business really does. Oh, I'm in web design. Oh, really? Well, I'm not like other web designers, right? We're different. Oh, how's that? Because then you're able to say, I have a guy, he's really unique business. You can speak about him like he's your friend. And when you're able to do that and you're able to convey that bit of information, guess what? There's probably likely going to be a connection. And is he different? Quite possibly, right? But you've been able to make that connection, and now you're able to have that goodwill with the other person. The other thing that I found with networking over the years is you never know where it will lead you, where it will take you, how much money it will make you. I can honestly say that I've made several $1 million from networking alone. You know, we're just getting ready to break ground on a project in Mossy Head, Florida. Anybody know where Mossy Head, Florida is? It's a town about this big off the I-10, about 30 minutes out of Destin. And we have an international stone manufacturer that's taking down 40,000 feet. Had no idea Mossy Head even existed, had no idea Constantino Stone wanted to lease there, had no idea about any of those things. But I found a guy, the guy I introduced Jonathan to. And we put together a deal down there for a company. We wound up not working with them. We already owned the land. And I called a friend of mine who is one of my favorite agents here in Boise, if you're on the commercial side. And he's moved to Phoenix. I called him up and I said, I need to know a guy that can blow it up in Florida. So I got a 40,000 square foot building all ready to go and nobody to dance with. So he connects me with a guy. This guy happens to be the realtor for Constantino Stone, right? So it's those connections. It's when you have that power and you have that opportunity that you can take advantage of that and you can get that done. So when you look around this room tonight, don't look at what can I, you look like a buyer. Hi, sir, I'm a realtor, right? Don't go at it like that. Go at it with the attitude of trying to learn about the other people. Meet as many people as you can and schedule a coffee. When was the last time you met somebody at an event like this or somewhere that you just genuinely liked? I know that I genuinely liked Jonna. It took her several years to develop that same for me. I have that effect. But the reality is when you really genuinely build those bridges and you really get to know people and have coffee, there's always something that comes out of it. You know, she came to my open house at Christmas time, and I told her, I said, hey, we gotta do more. We got to do more to build community and build a group. And she called me back. It was 2 months later, right? Busy girl. And here we are, right? I've been able to participate. John has come to me with ideas. I've had some for her, right? We've got a great group here, and this is a fantastic start. I didn't have a whole lot to do with it, but somehow I lit her back up about getting this off the ground, right? But you always, you never know where that's going to take you, but build those friendships. How many of you have 3 people in your life that you ride or die? You call them, say, don't ask any questions, bring a shovel, we got to go, right? A lot of people don't. Why don't you have 7, right? Those relationships take time, they take effort. But if you're looking to really develop strong networking techniques and relationships, you've got to invest that time. You know, I've got a friend of mine, some of you know him, Paul Anderson. We've been friends since high school, right? Everybody I talk to gets referred to Paul Anderson. Why? Because I have the strongest connection with Paul of any mortgage banker in the valley. Are there better ones? I don't know. It seems to work for you, right? But there are. But my connection is what draws me to that referral, right? So the more time you invest in those relationships, the stronger they're going to get, and the more you're going to get out of them. You know, we're developing a new media program with a guy that I met online. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. But we developed a friendship over the last 2.5 years online. He used to live here. Now he lives in Dallas. But we're reconnecting and we're building something new because of that connection. And we spent a lot of time. We didn't spend any time talking about business, right? Trading those funny pictures, you know, sending jabs back and forth, right? He has a Chihuahua, so I had plenty to work with there, right? I just hit him up with Yo quiero Taco Bell, you know? But the reality is as that connection grew, he came to me with an idea. This guy used to do social media for Grant Cardone. This guy's a big deal in his world. He knows nothing about my world, but he wants to. And because of that relationship, because of what I built with him, we're now getting this whole project rolled out, and we're his guinea pigs, right? This is a $100,000 program that we're getting as guinea pigs because he wants to know how I do what I do, right? And so you just don't understand what you could be passing up by looking at your own needs instead of the needs of others, by not developing the depth of connection that you really should be with other people, and by not being able to see what your group can do on a larger scale. How many of you guys are involved in nonprofits? Okay, we've got some. Everybody gets started in a nonprofit. I'm involved in a couple of them. And everybody gets started in a nonprofit with a great idea and a great need. But the worst part about it is they don't have a strong network, right? And when they don't have a strong network, they struggle. How many of you wished you'd have bought a St. Jude's ticket? All right, nobody? Faith's got houses for sale. You don't need to buy a St. Jude's house raffle, right? But the reality is they sell out 1,000 tickets to a house for $100 in a matter of minutes because of their network, because of what they've built, because people understand what they're giving to. There's a lot of other great charities and great outfits out there, but if you're not getting involved in them, you don't have the ability to bring your network. Your network doesn't have the ability to make drastic changes in people's lives, and it all stops. So when you think about beyond business, when you think about your community, think about your social credit score, right? We've heard a lot about that lately, but how many people on your street could you call right now and get them to watch your kids for an hour? How many would you trust? If you don't have that kind of network, if there's ever something that happens in this nation, what would you do? Because you haven't invested. And so as we talk about investments here tonight, I want to close with this. If you're not investing in your network, this is Groundhog Day for you guys all over again. Every day, you got to go meet a new customer, right? You've got to go meet somebody else to try and sell your product to. And how many of you like talking to salespeople when they call, right? But be the person that can give someone else the connection so that they can give you the goodwill. And with that, you will be able to build a network that will go way beyond what you ever expected it to be, because you have friends of friends. You have acquaintances. I have a lady, I'm going to be in Phoenix next week. I'm meeting with a lady. We had to convince her not to wire money because I wanted to meet her in person. I'm going to be there next week because she came from a friend of a friend of a friend. But because I'd invested in the friend's life so heavily, and this person saw that third person through that, that was the bond that we already had. She's like, I've heard what you do. I want to invest with you. I'm like, well, let's meet. I'm going to be in your area, and we can talk, and we can kind of figure this out. No, I'm okay. Let's slow down, you know. But that's the beauty of what you build when you build that depth. So make sure that you're investing in yourselves. Make sure that you're investing in your network, and make sure you're investing in your community. Thanks.